So as we continue on with this process, let's add the gender column and add it to our if statement. So we can start simply by grabbing our if statement. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll grab this, we'll copy it, control return, so I can paste that. But now this is going to be column C2, and it's going to be all genders, if it says all genders. And A1 1 equals 1, and A is less than or equal to B2. In this case, we want it to be not a less than. We're dealing with just an equals. And let's go ahead and let's see, that would be C2. Let's see what that does for us. And we'll hit enter. And it says all genders, and so we have data. But what if I switch to female? Oh, I get an error because it says where A is equal to F. Now, let's go back and think about what we had said, how you have to use the right kind of reference depending on whether a cell reference is numeric or string. In this case, everything in this is string, and so when you look at that, A equals F is not going to work because that needs to be in a single quote. Therefore, we have to wrap this output in a single quote, and then we should get that to work. And of course, let's read our statement where A is greater than 30, less than 32, and A equals F. Well, that's not right. This would have to be where C, well, let's check. I think it's column B, where column B is equal to, there we go. So now I can choose my male or my female or all genders. So if we're looking at the data here in our select statement, where C2, that's our all genders, if it's equal to all genders, we get a 1 equals 1. But if it's one of the choices, we add the reference back. Let's look here. Sex is column B. So that would be how we would need to do that. So we can continue on, and I will do this and speed it up so that you can see how I could continue to add to this select statement to get all of these different criteria to work for us. Let's stop and check our formula and see what we have, if this is going to be working the way we want. One of the things I'm noticing is that if I stop here and check, all pane type is string, all BP is numeric, all cholesterol is numeric, all ECG is string. So let's go look at our formula, see if that matches. So all pane type is a string. Let's look, all pane type, yep. So we need to fix that. So all pane type should actually be a string. We need to add those quotes around that. And then resting BP is numeric, so we don't want the single quotes. And cholesterol is also numeric. We can get rid of the single quotes. And the resting ECG is so we're going to want to leave that as a string. So let's check. So we have numeric, string, pane type, resting BP, non-string, string. So let's see how this works out for us. If I go to all pane type and do ASY, we should see C equals ASY, BP equals 92, cholesterol equals 100, and ECG is got LVH in quotes. So that's going to work, with the exception that we don't want these numerics to be equal. We want the numerics to be greater than or equal to. So let's go ahead with that, greater than or equal to. This is a numeric, so this is going to be greater than or equal to, and the strings are going to be equal to. So great. Now we should see if that's going to give us any returns. Probably with all of those set that way, it may not. Let's set them back to normal and see what we get. So setting these all back to normal, and so far we've let me just mark these. We've only done up to here, just to keep track of this. Let's go ahead and show those. They're all showing where 1 equals 1 and 1 equals 1 and 1 equals 1 because we're using all of these string numerics. Notice if I want to just look at LVH, I get LVH, but I can't really see how many of those. So what I like to do here is add a, I like to do a count here. So let's do a equals count. That's equals a count A. Let's just go ahead and do a count A on the, it doesn't matter any one of these columns. Let's do the age column. We're going to do a count A on A6 through A. We'll go ahead and do that. So I have 919. I don't want to do that. Now watch what happens if I switch here to just my LVH. I only have 189. I have 553. I have 179. Let's go ahead and bold this, make it bigger, and make it red so it stands out for us. So that's telling me how many, as I select these, and then if everything is selected, I have 919 total records in here. I think that helps us see. So if I come in and look at my cholesterol, that's greater than 85, I have 747. If I come down here and get my cholesterol, that's greater than 219, I have 490, and so forth. So you can come through and check and see what if I'm looking at cholesterol greater than 318, I only have 65. So and then what happens if you start adding other criteria here, if I were to do female, that's going to drop to 26. If I was going to do male, it goes to 40. If you select too many criteria, you might get no results. Okay, I'm down to 4, 9. So with those criteria selected, now there's one with male, pain type TA with that high cholesterol. If I go back to all cholesterol. So again, here we are, we're finishing this out. In the next lesson, what we'll do is finish this because I'm just going to be doing some copying and pasting to get all this lined out for all of these. And then I'll clean up with some formatting. So I've gone ahead and cleaned up all of these. I've added all of my criteria, and I've put all my criteria if statements in my select statement. And you can see here that I have made sure, I've gone and made sure that if we have a numeric, it's a greater than with a single quote wrapping the cell reference. And if it's a string, it's an equal with the single quote wrapping. I might have said numeric is no single quote wrapping, and you have the greater than symbol. So I've checked all this out. I think, let me go ahead and just verify. I'll just close this up. So I can choose 42 through 46, and you can see I have 103. Now if I want to look at my ST slopes and go to the down, I only have 5, flats 42, up 56, and all those should add up to my 103. So you can see I can pretty much select my different criteria, again reminding that we don't want to have too many criteria because we might get no records if I do female and ASY and that, and to get the cholesterol and get this to be, let's just do this as normal. Now that one's not working. I should, this is how we have to check this out. Let's stop and see why that one's not working. So I found my problem with this resting ECG. I'd skipped it. So that would be this if statement, if G2, all resting ECG, and so I had to fix that. Again, pointing out that we have to be sure if it's a text. So watch what happens if we label this wrong. That was the other issue I had. I get an error with that. If I do all resting ECG, it works, but if I do LVH, it doesn't, and the value that is wrong there is that this G, again, is a text, so then we have to wrap it in the wrapper. And now I can look at my normals. I have 22 normals. I have 16 LVHs and 8 STs when I am looking at this paint type ST, if I switch that. So I think we have everything working. That's great. I'd like to add one other feature to this. I'd like to be able to sort by different criteria. And that would mean in my select statement, I'd have to add, let me open this up a little more. I'd have to add a order by statement at the end of this. But first, in order to do that, what I'd like to be able to do is order this by different columns. So one of the first things I'm going to do is come back over here to my helper columns, and I'm going to type this statement. I'm going to use this same format. I'm going to call this categories because I'd like to get all the categories. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to transpose. If I spell it correctly, I'm going to transpose this data. I'm going to transpose the data set here. I'm going to transpose this and come back over here, and I want to finish out that and finish out this. So now we have a list of the categories of all the categories that we have across here. Now, what I want to be able to do is actually build a list of the columns. I want to use a formula to find what column is age in, because I'm going to use that to help me choose which of my sort column is going to be. And so in order to do that, I'm going to have this formula saved, and I'm just going to come in here and paste it, save some time, and we have to take a look at that. And I fixed that. Let's take a look at that. I fixed that error that I was getting. So this is a little bit complicated, but what it's saying is if len x2x, so if x2x is not blank, we're going to substitute and find the address. And this address function is going to, it gives you the address, the row and column of whatever you're looking at. And I am then using a match, and I'm using the match to look through x2x, and then I'm looking over here on A5, finding those, and when I find those, I am then, this formula is returning the column number. So now that I have that, I can come back here to my select formula, and I can add a little bit more information here so that I can get an order by function in place. And again, I'm going to put in a carriage return. I'm going to paste in a formula, and this isn't going to work for me yet because it's looking in G1. And what I really want is I need to add something in here. I'm going to have to add a couple things. Let me fix up this. I'm going to get rid of this, And in L and M, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and take column L, and in column L, I'm going to list these categories. So we'll go ahead and do data validation, list from a range. The range I'm working with is this right here. We're going to do that. It's going to be X2 through X, and save. And so now my I have the age column that I'm going to sort by. And then here I'm going to do a data validation, which is going to be, in this case, this is going to be list of items, and this is going to be A to Z and comma Z to A. So just ascending or descending order, I'll go ahead and do this A to Z. So now what I'm going to do with my order statement coming back here, we're going to order by VLOOKUP, and my VLOOKUP is actually going to be in L1. It's going to be L1. And we are going to, actually we'll put that at L2. I think I'll move that down. We'll do L2, and the VLOOKUP is looking at X2. That's correct. X2 to Y. And then if this is going to be M, if M is A to Z, we sort ascending. And if it's otherwise, we sort descending. Okay, so that should work. And we do have something wrong. Let's see what we have wrong. Yeah, we said we were going to put that in L2. That's why we're going to actually drag those down. And we will get rid of these. So now I am doing all ages, and if I do all ages, ST, let's go ahead and get everything all set back to normal. Let me put my count back in here. This is equal to count A. We're going to make sure we get a count in here. Let's do this, and it's going to be we're going to do A7 actually. A7 through A. There's 918. Let's go ahead and copy this formula or format. Okay, so I have 918. I've got everything set to include everything. And I am now sorting by age, A to Z. If I sort Z to A, that should change that. So let's see why that's not working. And again, looking at my formula, we found the error here. This is M2. I'm going to go ahead and go to data validation. We'll remove the data validations from those. So now I could sort descending by Z to A. I could sort by sex. And now you're seeing all my males, Z to A. If I do sex A to Z, you're seeing all my females. I could sort by chest pain type. Again, A to Z or Z to A. Again, I've added now my ability to order in my statement with a dynamic dropdown. Order by different columns and by ascending or descending. In the last video, we will show how we can clean this up and make a nice looking dashboard. If we have it all in place and all working, let's see how we could make it into something that would look nice. And so finally, let's do some formatting on this. One of the first things I might do is I might go ahead and introduce an extra column to the left here, and then I might highlight all of these columns N through Z, and I might go ahead and view, group, and group those, so I can go ahead and get rid of all of my hidden helper columns. You can see they're all over here, but I can hide and show them if need be. And then what I think I'd like to do is I think I have an extra row in here. I'm going to go ahead and delete that row. And now that I've got this select statement written out, I could I could select this whole select statement, copy it, and come down to this query where we have A3. I'm just going to replace A3 with my statement, hit enter. Everything should work, which means I can get rid of that. Maybe what we would do is we need to clean this this up, and maybe do something like this. We can narrow that down. This is our sort column, and this is our sort order. And we could again clean that one up. So let's go ahead and do something here. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Let's make it bold. Let's turn it, turn the background black and turn that white. Let's take all of these and turn the background black. Let's take this column only and turn our text white. And well, actually, let's leave the text black and let's make this white. So that kind of stands out and let's make sure that we could select everything, double click, make sure everything kind of fits the way we want. This is could be maybe bigger. It gives us our counts. We'll go ahead and center and center. So there's our counts. Notice if I jump in here, I change my counts. It helps me see that. Here's my all ages. Again, I maybe would make this bold and maybe just jump up to 11, and then I'm probably going to have to do something like this. Yeah, it makes it a little bit wide, but still fits. Okay, and so now I can come in here and I want to just look at my flats. There they are, there's 460, and I can work through. And one last thing I'd like to do is I'd like this data to be highlighted. So I'm going to write a conditional format rule that lets me alternate these row colors based on the amount of data that's in here. And our last little feature that I've added is maybe I added a conditional format rule here. It looks like this. So what we're doing is if starting at A6, if it's not blank, then we're going to and even rows, we're going to go ahead and alternately color the even rows if they're not blank. And this is different than using the tool here, alternating colors, because that would alternate all the colors regardless of whether you have data. So let's see how this works. If I jump up to here, excuse me, now I'm only getting the rows colored that have data in them. And I like that little feature. I think it looks a little bit nicer. And again, there we have it. That's a pretty nice dashboard that lets us drill down into our data. Everything's done out of this one formula, this one query formula that we have right here that you can see. And the last thing I just showed you, we have this conditional format. One thing I might do is maybe I'll put a border, let's see, at the bottom of that, and maybe I'd make that border a little bit bigger. Let's see, I think we can make the border a little bit fatter. So there's our data. As we scroll down through, we can take a look at how that looks. We can decide to modify some of these. And there you see, let's go back to all resting. There it is. There's our nice little dashboard summarizing this data set in a way that lets us really drill down into it.